Okay, so umpisahan natin itong multiple choice. Bale, 15 items ito, 15 na questions. And then later on, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, identification. 15 items din. So, for this exercise, meron tayong 30 questions all in all. So, umpisahan na natin yung number 1. Multiple choice, please select the correct answer to the problem. Class or guys, in general, be careful, maging careful kayo sa mga instructions na nakalagay. Kung ano yung hinihingi, yun yung ibigay ninyo. Kasi minsan, lalo na pag subjective yung grading, based doon sa sagot ninyo yung question, kung masyado ninyo itong pinapahaba, mas baka mabawasan yung inyong sagot. Kasi umiikot-ikot lang kayo at minsan ayaw ito ng ibang mga professor. Gusto nila straight to the point dapat kung ano yung hinihingi nila, o yun din yung binigay ninyo dapat. So dito, since wala naman tayong problema, multiple choice, ibigay ninyo kung ano yung pinakatamang sagot. Number 1, the effects of transactions and other events are recognized when they occur and not as cash or cash equivalent and not as cash or its equivalent is received or paid, and they are recorded and reported in the financial statements of the period to which they relate. So, ang pagpipilian ninyo is letter A, periodicity, o letter B, monetary unit, letter C, accrual basis, and letter D, going concern. Okay? The effects of the transactions daw, at yung mga kaganapan ay nire-recognize kung kailan ito nangyari. At hindi kung merong pera na natanggap or may pera na inilabas. At nire-record natin ito kung kailan talaga siya nangyari. Anong period ito? So, ano yung sagot ninyo dyan? Is it periodicity? Is it monetary unit? Is it accrual basis? Or is it going concern? And the answer for that is letter C. Accrual basis of accounting, because accrual basis of accounting suggests kung ano yung naka-state dyan sa number 1. Okay, so yun mismo yung sinasabi ni accrual basis of accounting as compared doon sa tinatawag natin na cash basis of accounting. Proceed tayo sa number 2. Ang number 2 is a modified na true or false. Merong dalawang statement. True ba yung statement 1? True ba yung statement 2? Or false parehas? Or ano yung sagot? Now, basahin natin kung ano yung statements. The following statements pertain to the users of accounting information. So, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay yung mga users of accounting information. Statement 1, yung external users daw need accounting information for planning, budgeting, and control decisions. Thus, they need special purpose financial statements. And the second statement is that internal users vary in their needs for accounting information, kaya nga they are provided with general purpose financial statements. So, ano ang answer? Is it letter A, parehas tama? True parehas? Or is it letter B, mali ito parehas? Or for letter C, yung statement 1 lang yung true. Or for letter D, yung statement 2 lang yung true. So ano yung sagot ninyo dyan? The answer for that is letter B. Parehas po yan mali. Both the statements are false. Bakit nagkamali yon parehas? Because pinagbaliktad si external users and then si internal users. Ang nire-refer ng statement 1 is the internal user. Samantalang yung statement 2 pertains to the external user of accounting information. For number 2, the answer is letter B, parehas mali. Okay? Proceed tayo sa number 3. Fundamental qualitative characteristics include the following. Kung babalikan ninyo, ano yung fundamental qualitative characteristics? Kasi dalawa lang yan. Dahil nabanggit ko na dalawa lang yan, ibig sabihin yan, hindi na pwede si letter D na all of the above. It includes the following except. Minsan nalilito kayo dyan, or yan yung common na nagpapamali sa mga estudyante. Kasi ang umpisa, fundamental qualitative characteristics include the following. Yun nga lang, nakakalimutan nila intindihin yung except. Ang Tagalog ng except ay maliban. So lahat ng ito ay tama or nakapaloob under the fundamental qualitative characteristics maliban sa. Okay? O is it relevance for letter A? Is it faithful representation for letter B? Is it understandability? Or lahat ng ito ay tama? And syempre, dahil nabanggit ko na kanina, dalawa lang ang under the fundamental qualitative characteristics, mali na yung all of the above. Ang tamang sagot dito ay letter C, understandability, because understandability is an enhancing characteristics. So si relevance and faithful representation ang tinutukoy natin dito. Pero dahil ang question, maliban, alin yung hindi? Letter C, understandability. So that is for number 3. Proceed tayo sa number 4. It is the capacity of information to influence decision. Is it letter A, faithful representation? Is it letter B, relevance? Or is it letter C, understandability? Or on letter D, neutrality? Alin dito yung capacity of information to influence decision? So, ang tamang sagot dyan ay letter B, relevance. Okay? Balikan ninyo ang inyong mga guides, ang inyong mga instruction guide, yung mga PDF copies ninyo, yung inyong mga libro, kung ano man yung ginagamit ninyong reference. Ang sagot dyan ay si relevance. Proceed tayo sa number 5. And sa number 5, ang question is, payment of an account is recorded by payment of an account is recorded by what? Letter A, debit to accounts receivable. Letter B, debit to accounts payable. Letter C, debit to cash. And letter D, credit to accounts receivable. Ano ba ang tamang sagot dito? Minsan, elimination ang kailangan ninyong gawin para malaman ninyo kung ano yung tama. Pag nag-pay tayo ng account, nababawasan yung cash mo, ang account kasi na yon ay accounts payable, so nababawasan din ang iyong accounts payable. Debit to accounts receivable ba? Pag process of elimination tayo, tanggal na si letter A. Si letter B ba? Debit to accounts payable? The answer is correct. Letter B is the answer for number 5. Pero, mali ba si letter C? Mali ba si letter D? If you have enough time, you have to check also. Bakit mali si letter C? Debit to cash. Remember that cash is an asset account. Pag dinagdagan natin yan, dinidebit natin. Yung item nga na ito, di ba, binabawasan natin yung cash. So dito, mali yung letter C dahil debit. Dapat credit to cash. Si letter D, credit to accounts receivable. Kagaya ni letter A, walang pakialam dito si accounts receivable. Dahil pag accounts receivable, collections ito. Nagbenta ka on account, may utang sa'yo. So kapag meron tayong receivable, it is an asset, no? Wala naman tayong kailangang bayaran. Sila yung may babayaran sa atin. Kaya, wala tayong pakialam kay accounts receivable. So, the answer for number 5 is letter B. Okay? Proceed tayo sa number 6. Sa number 6, ingredients of faithful representation include the following except. Letter A, completeness. Letter B, feedback value. Letter C, neutrality. And letter D, free from errors. Ingredients of faithful representation, maliban sa alin dyan. So, ibig sabihin, alin dyan yung hindi sangkap ng faithful representation. Is it completeness? Completeness is an ingredient a faithful representation. Is it feedback value? If you have to take on your notes, if you have to look on your notes, the answer is letter B. Because feedback value is an ingredient of relevance. Okay? Together with the confirmatory value. Neutrality for letter C and free from error from letter D, they are both ingredients of faithful representation. Kaya, for number 6, the answer is letter B. Okay? I hope you can follow. Ano? Number 7, proceed tayo. This type of user daw is concerned with accounting information in order to regulate business activities or determine taxing policies, among others. Letter A, government agencies. Letter B, employees. Letter C, customers. Or letter D, public. O pag yan yung pinag-uusapan, mga regulate business activity, yung keyword na regulate. Tapos determine taxing policies. Nakita ninyo, taxing policies. Definitely, the answer dyan is letter A, government agencies. Kasi, yung mga ahensya ng gobyerno, sila yung may pakialam. Kaya sila may pakialam sa accounting information to regulate the activities of the businesses and to determine yung mga taxing policies na nararapat. Okay? So, the answer for number 7 is letter A. Proceed tayo sa number 8. Kumusta yung mga sagot ninyo? Tama naman? Number 8. Yung normal balance daw ng account ay, is it letter A, debit? Or letter B, credit? Letter C, neither. Wala kahit debit or credit. Or letter D, the side where the increase is recorded. Anong sagot ninyo dyan? Kasi kung ang sagot ninyo ay debit, tama lang yan kapag ang pinag-uusapan natin ay mga assets, expenses, and mga contra equity accounts or kung may mga contra liability account man. For letter B naman, tama din yan kung ang pinag-uusapan natin dyan ay liability, equity, income, at saka mga contra asset account. So, ang tamang sagot ay letter B. Yung side kung saan yung increase ay nire-record. Okay? So, the answer is, for number 8 is letter D. So, proceed tayo sa number 9. Service rendered on account is recorded by what? Debit to service revenue? Or credit to cash? Is it debit to accounts receivable? Or letter D, credit to accounts payable? Ang tamang sagot dyan ay what? Pag meron kang service na binigay or ni-render mo on account, pag sinabing account, hindi pa bayad. Eto, nag-render tayo, meron tayong sales. Meron tayong revenue. On account, kapag revenue, pinag-uusapan natin na hindi pa bayad, ang tawag natin doon ay accounts receivable. Kasi meron tayong for collection. Pag di-record natin ito, pag nag-journal entry tayo, yung affected na accounts dyan ay accounts receivable at revenue account. For number 9, is it debit to service revenue? The answer is no. Kinikredit kasi yan. Nagkakaroon tayo ng increase. Okay? For letter B, is it credit to cash? Debit or credit? Mali. Cash, lalong-lalo na mali. Kasi ang pinag-uusapan natin dyan ay accounts receivable. So, for letter C, debit to accounts receivable. Ayun, may term na accounts receivable. Pero tama ba ang debit or credit? Ang sinabi dito, debit. Dahil nag-increase yung accounts receivable mo, letter C is correct. But check lang natin kung mali ba si letter D. Credit to accounts payable. Mali na kasi accounts payable, wala tayong pinag-uusapan na accounts payable. Tayo kasi ang may utang pag meron tayong accounts payable. Okay? So, number 9, the answer is letter C. Proceed tayo for number 10. Yung constraints daw in providing accounting information include letter A, cost. Letter B, materiality. Letter C, parehas yung cost and materiality. And for letter D, neither of the two accounts are constraints. Si cost at si materiality daw ay hindi mga constraints. So ano ang sagot ninyo dyan? Ano yung sinasabi sa mga constraints or limitation in providing accounting information? Number 1, it's because of the cost. Yung cost-benefit na consideration. The benefit should outweigh the cost, no? And for letter B, materiality. It is a matter of professional judgment when we are dealing with materiality of an account. So letter C ang tamang sagot for number 10. Okay. Proceed tayo sa number 11. Which of the following statements is incorrect? Alin daw dito yung mali? For letter A, asset is increased by a debit and decreased by a credit. Yung asset ba, pag nag-i-increase, dinidebit, at pag dinidecrease, kinikredit, pag inanalyze mo na yan, letter A is true. Okay? Letter A is correct. Check tayo sa letter B. Ang liability daw at capital ay ini-increase by a credit at binabawasan ng debit. That's the opposite, the mirror image of asset. Kaya, credit pag increase, debit pag decrease. Letter B is also correct. For letter C, expense is increased by a debit and decreased by a credit. This is a rule on debit and credit. Expense ay in-increase by a debit, so the answer is correct. Decreased by a credit, the answer is also correct. So letter C is correct. That leaves you letter D as your likely answer. Pero baka mamaya bonus question pala yan kasi tama din yung letter D. Pero tignan natin kung mali nga ba talaga si letter D. Income daw and withdrawal are increased by a credit and decreased by a debit. For the income part, that is correct. Bakit mali si letter D? It's because of the withdrawal account. Si withdrawal account mo kasi, it's a contra equity account. Pag nag-i-increase yan, dinidebit natin. Pag nagdi-decrease yan, kinikredit natin. Kaya for number 11, the answer is letter D because of the account, of the withdrawal account. Okay, proceed tayo sa number 12. For number 12, the question is, the economic entity concept applies to what? Letter A, single proprietorship. For letter B ba, partnership? For letter C ba, corporation? Or for letter D, any type of business organization? For number 12, the answer is letter D. Regardless of your business organization, mapa-single man yan, partnership or corporation, parating ginagamit natin yung economic entity concept. So for number 12, the answer is letter D. Okay? Number 13 naman tayo. Revenue is generally recognized upon, letter A, receipt of order from the customer. Letter B, signing of the contract. Letter C, payment of the customer. Or letter D, delivery of goods or service to the customer. Okay, so anong sagot dyan? Is it letter A, B, C, or D? Guys, the answer for number 13 is letter D, delivery of goods or service to the customer. There is a recognition of a revenue once we provided for the goods or once we render the service. Kapag na-perform na natin yon. Otherwise, wala pa dapat tayong i-recognize na revenue. Sa letter A, nakatanggap pa lang ng order galing sa customer. Wala ka pang piniperform na service or wala ka pang binibigay doon sa customer mo. Sa letter B, signing of the contract. Hindi yan accountable transaction na kailangan nating i-record, no? That is a transaction, that is an event, pero wala tayong mini-measure dyan. For letter C, payment of the customer. Ibang usapan na yan. When the customer pays, hindi na nire-recognize yung revenue dyan. Kung hindi, tawag nito, kinokolekta. Nire-recognize na natin yung cash na nakolekta natin sa customer at dinide-recognize, tinatanggal na natin yung receivable. So, likely, the answer is letter D. By the way, letter C will be correct if that is cash basis of accounting. But then, we are following accrual basis of accounting. So, number 13 is letter D. Number 14, what's the question? The accounting information provided should be sufficient o sapat or adequate to permit informed judgment for users of the accounting information. So, sino yung tumutukoy sa statement sa number 14? Is it completeness? Is it neutrality? Is it free from errors? Or is it faithful representation? O ano ang sagot ninyo sa number 14? Kasi, ang tamang sagot dyan ay letter A, completeness. Pag narinig nyo yung term, sufficient, sapat, suffice, no? Adequate, no? Ayan yung mga keywords ninyo pag ang pinag-uusapan natin ay completeness. Neutrality, free from bias. Free from errors, more of accuracy. Tapos, faithful representation is there A, B, and C. Okay? So that is, for number 14, the answer is letter A. Last item tayo for multiple choice, number 15. It means that the life of a business can be divided into segments of time. Going concern, periodicity, accrual basis, or monetary unit. The answer for number 15 is none other than letter B, periodicity concept. Okay? Hindi siya going concern, hindi siya accrual, hindi siya monetary unit. So, number 15 is letter B. Perfect ba? Tama ba? Kung tama kayo lahat or more than 10, that's good na. At least 50% nito, tama ka, papasa ka na. Pero sana, mas maganda, mas madami. No? The lesser the error, the better. Proceed tayo sa identification. Please identify daw the term as defined in the statements. So, number 16 muna tayo. This is an increase in economic benefit arising from either an increase in asset or a decrease in liability that results in an increase in equity other than contributions from equity participants. Anong sagot natin dyan? Because for number 16, the answer is, that is income. Okay? Income yan. Yan yung pinaka-definition niya mismo. Tama ba? Hindi yan liability, hindi yan asset, hindi yan equity, hindi yan expense. That is income. Kung magugulo ka man, kung malilito ka man, ang pagpipilian mo dyan ay income or expense. Pero dahil increase yan in economic benefit, na ang resulting effect sa balance sheet mo ay either increase in asset or decrease in liability, na yung result sa equity mo ay increase. Diba? Other than contributions from equity participants. The answer is income. For number 17, this is a resource controlled by an entity as a result of past event where an inflow of economic benefit is expected in the future. Yung answer na banggit ko na, nagkamali lang ako. The answer for this is asset. Asset is a resource that is controlled by the entity as a result of past event and from which there is an inflow of economic benefit in the future. Okay? Number 17 is asset. Number 18 tayo. This is a decrease in economic benefit arising from either a decrease in asset or increase in liability that results in a decrease in equity other than distributions from equity participants. That is the opposite of number 16, and the answer for that is your expense. Pansinin mo, decrease in asset, increase in liability, decrease in equity other than distribution. Yan yung pinaka-definition ng expense na account. Number 19 tayo. This is a present obligation of an entity as a result of past event where an outflow of economic benefit is expected in the future. Present obligation, ang sagot natin dyan ay liability. Kaya nga, ni-reserve ko, gusto kong i-retain yung keyword na obligation for liability. Kaya as much as possible, I discourage you from defining equity as an obligation to the owner. Baka biglang malito kayo lalo. Oh, obligation. Di ba liability, obligation din? So, number 19 is a liability. Number 20, this is the residual interest of an entity. Ito yung sinabi ko when I define the equity. So, the answer for number 20 is equity or capital. Kung capital ang sinagot ninyo, okay, tama din naman yun. Equity, the better. And let's use the term na equity. Number 21, the business is expected to continue its operation in the foreseeable future. We are out positive looking, we are very optimistic. At ang sagot for number 21 is going concern. Hindi natin iniisip na malulugi yung negosyo at magsasara na. Yun nga lang, sa ngayon, sa pandemic na ito, maraming mga kumpanya yung nagsara na, nalugi. So, sana yung mga educational institution ay wag naman magsara kasi kawawa naman ang mga estudyante na kagaya ninyo. At education is our key for a better future. So, wag naman na pati yung pag-aaral ay ikatamaran, ng mga estudyante. Number 22, we must record revenue when it is earned and record expenses when it is incurred. Ang sagot natin ay accrual or accrual basis or accrual basis of accounting. Basta nandoon yung accrual, tama yan. Accrual basis. For number 23 na tayo, this is income earned in the ordinary course of business. The answer is revenue. Remember that income is composed of either revenue or gains. Revenue is derived from the ordinary course of business, whereas gains are outside the ordinary course of business. So that is the answer for number 23. Proceed tayo for number 24. This is the simplest form of a ledger account, and the answer for that is your T account. The simplest form of a ledger account. For number 25, this report lists down the assets, liabilities, and equity. Anong sagot natin dyan? Ang sagot natin for number 25 is balance sheet or the statement of financial position. For number 25. Number 26 tayo. This report naman shows the movement of cash from the beginning of the period until the end of the period. Movement of cash, yung keyword ninyo dyan. At ang sagot dyan ay cash flow statement. O kaya naman, statement of cash flow. Kahit alin doon, pagbaliktarin mo man yan, cash flow yan, the answer is correct. For number 27, this illustrates the movement of your equity account to include additional investments or withdrawal of investments and the result of the company's operations. Ang keyword naman natin is the movement of your equity account because in this case, the answer is the statement of changes in equity, one of the basic financial statements. Statement of changes in equity is the correct answer for number 27. Number 28 tayo. A financial report that includes the other comprehensive income. At dahil nandiyan si other comprehensive income, ang answer natin dyan ay statement of comprehensive income. Okay? Dagdagan mo lang ng statement. Dahil nandiyan na si other comprehensive income. A statement of comprehensive income. For number 29, this is the result of operations of a business. At kapag results of operations ang pinag-uusapan natin, the answer for that is your income statement or statement of income or the statement of profit or loss. So that is the answer for number 29. And for the last item for this assessment, number 30, when analyzing accounting equation using tabular analysis, we present the transactions in blank form. In this case, the answer is table. Dahil tabular analysis yan, we are presenting the transactions in table form. O, tabular table. So, yun lang po yung sagot dyan sa number 30. O, kumusta? How was your results, no? Pasado ba? Perfect ba? At least that gives you an idea how well you understand the topics. Although dito, may mga concepts dito na rule of debit and credit na kung ikaw ay nasa klase ko, kung hindi ako nagkakamali ay para sa susunod na meeting pa madidiscuss. Pero doon sa accounting equation, may mga nabanggit na naman ako doon sa debit and credit. So at least you have an idea of that. Or lalong-lalo na kung ikaw ay ABM graduate at may basic accounting sa senior high school or nung grade 10 ka pa. Okay? So guys, that is the answer keys. Ayan yung mga solution guide natin. Solution, wala naman computation. A better answer keys for assessment number 1. Maraming salamat. If you have any questions dito sa ating mga problems, please let me know. And thank you very much for tuning in today. I'll see you again on the next assessment na computation. Okay? So, bye-bye.